All right. Hi, I'm Enosh Shachar, and we have Brendan Luce with me. He went and put a team for all of us to use. If you go and put exclamation point rental BL, I believe you'll have his rental team that he used at Dallas. And we're going to go into that a little bit. He'll tell us about what he was thinking going into it.
Yeah, so I think it's what is it? Exclamation rental team BL. I think Andrew behind the scenes over there is going to be tweeting out whatever the command is to get the team pulled up. And there is a doc available. I think I wrote up a little blurb about playing the team. The paste bin will be available if you want to port it into whatever team builder that you use, and then there will be, I believe, the rental code available. So if you want to play my team, that'll be fun. It was fun because we actually did get to feature it a little bit on stream, as you saw me absolutely dismantle Justin Karras just a little bit ago, and just to really build myself up just a little bit. That was the Dallas regional winning team. So for all intents and purposes, I have at least a little bit of a claim to the Dallas regional championship.
It was just the matchups. If you hit the right matchups, it would have been a free tournament.
It would have, exactly. And I'm kidding. Of course, my actual run at the tournament was much less grand than that. So I think we talked about how I was going to discuss a little bit of the team building process. The bubble that I built the team in was in a bubble where there wasn't so much Scope Lens Togekiss and where there wasn't so much Jellicent.
Those were really
and
new.
They were very
that happened
new.
Bochum and took over the world.
Exactly. So it was new, and even in laddering, I hadn't seen it so much as I thought I would, and I had a plan for weakness policy Togekiss, but Scope Lens was really tough. And of course, I showed on stream a little while ago that I did have Koba Berry Ludicolo, which was I thought was a really cool tech and was good at the time, but Scope Lens obviously will crit right through Koba Berry, so that's a problem there.
Also, fake tears, probably not the most fun as well. It's like, got
fake
this.
Tears is a problem. Yeah, so it was definitely subject to a lot of the newer stuff at the time. So some of my takeaways is that I think that Rain has a place in the meta. This is a Rain team for anybody that hasn't pulled it up. I'm trying to speak in the context of you guys having seen the team that was on. But I think Rain is very interesting if you're not using Pelipper. I think having to rely on Pelipper to generate Rain offense is a lot. So being able to manually set it with Max Geyser or manually set it with a Prankster user, I think is a much better use of your time if you want to pursue some sort of like a Rain offense archetype.
It's going to be very interesting, like come March. Maybe your team would have some sort of resurgence with Venusaur and Incineroar, both Pokemon, one, weak to Pelipper, two, benefits a lot for you to have Rain against those two. So
yeah, I think that's interesting, and also more recently than that is I think one of the better Rain setters is Liepard, which was actually just released. Or its Prankster ability was just released, and it does get fake tears, fake out, Rain Dance, and then all sorts of moves that are definitely beneficial to like an offensive-based Rain offense team. So I think that's, if you were trying to take my team, which I definitely, you feel free to play your games with it, but don't continue to pursue it in its current form, going in where the meta is now. But Liepard, probably a good direction to go.
Speaking of Liepard, just like an aside that's kind of fun, there's the move Copycat, and if you go use Max Guard and then Copycat right afterwards, you copy the move that like is the base move of Max Guard. So you can go Jellicent, Liepard, Max Guard, Copycat to set up Trick Room.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's really weird.
That's a cool interaction,
it probably doesn't actually work out that often, but it's really funny.
It's cool to have a niche for it. I guess it's tough to fit with how many moves Liepard gets, though, to have such a niche move like Copycat. But that's interesting. I didn't know that. I'm not sure if that would factor into a Rain team.
I love the Darmanitan, though. Like, Darmanitan has been a very unique Pokemon. I remember Seijun used it at the World Champion Invitational that was hosted not too long ago. And like you mentioned, you had a plan for weakness policy Togekiss. Was that plan just knock it out?
Yeah, so the plan was like a combination of it was emphasis on the rain sweeper. So it was basically to like max geyser on the first turn, so that it wasn't getting a boost, and then on turn 2 after chipping it down with a max geyser, hopefully with Seismitoad, which handles its max moves pretty well, I would have the opportunity to go into something like a double target with a max ooze plus a water type attack, or just max geyser it again, which usually it was in range for, like 2 max geysers once the rain is up, 1 without rain, and then 1 with rain is usually enough to knock it out. So that was good. But it's funny that you mentioned the Darmanitan, because the kind of the origins of the team is I had been talking to Tommy Coolene about rain a little bit.
He's been using Darmanitan a lot.
Kind of like the purveyor of rain as it was. And he was kind of like, you know, I'm not really sure how good rain as an archetype is, but I really do like the idea of using a rain sweeper with Darmanitan, because the combination of water and ice are obviously a good offensive pairing. And then Darmanitan gives you the option to kind of like bust through Togekiss if you want to use it to do that. You can bust through Dragapult even if it's maxed. So some of the things that would normally kind of stand in the way of a water sweep, like Rotom-Mow even, Darmanitan helps you break through a lot easier.
Yeah, I remember just on the topic of rain, Darmanitan, well, it wasn't Darmanitan, but rain. I remember, I believe, Shoma's team was Dragapult, Rhyperior, Bronzong, Pelipper, Ludicolo.
And then Togekiss, yeah.
Togekiss. Like, Pelipper, Ludicolo just being used on teams clearly could just destroy Charizard archetypes, not even giving them a chance.
Yeah. It's much harder against the ones that set Sun. The team that I played against, Justin, is a little bit easier to flowchart because you don't have to deal with the weather wars so much. Like, you don't have to worry about Whimsicott Sunny Day, because manual rain is like the bane of auto rain.
Yeah.
So having to deal with that, like the solar power Charizard teams, is a lot more difficult than having to deal with Justin's variant.
Interesting. Well, Dallas came and went. You didn't have the best tournament record there, but what were some takeaways, some lessons learned from that tournament that you would go take with you for if you were to play in this type of event, or if you were to go play at the upcoming Collinsville or Charlotte regionals?
I think I would definitely try and tap into the meta a little bit more. I think a lot of us tend to look, when we have a team that we feel like is kind of cool, we tend to look at the metagame with rose-colored glasses a little bit. I was like, oh, you know, I've seen a little bit of Scope Lens Togekiss on the ladder, but I probably won't see it in the tournament or stuff like that. I think it's better to look at things a little bit more objectively. But I had a lot of momentum with the rain. Like, I had been playing pretty well on the ladder, and I was like really sticking to wanting to run this, even though it was starting to look a little bit more and more like it wasn't so much of a good idea. So if I was to actually go back and, you know, really prepare for a tournament, I would make sure that I was considering more options than just going straight ahead with running the one thing that I was kind of fixated on.
Honestly, I'm really bad with it as well.
Yeah,
I try to get my friends with me to go keep me from going down the rabbit hole. Instead of going down the rabbit hole, I'm pretty sure I just burrow into like a foxhole and anything else. It just gets really messy, despite all the help I have to try to keep me from getting there.
Definitely agree with you. Yeah, that was tough.
It's so fun though.
It is, especially when you get to use cool Pokemon. Like Seismitoad was the Pokemon that I had really built around and felt strongly about, because Duraludon was the one thing that was a little bit newer at the time, and I correctly predicted that it was going to be there. And Seismitoad, although it didn't on stream a little while ago, it does tend to match up pretty well against Duraludon. It does. There's really
special attack, max quake, fast.
The only other special attacking ground type is Gastrodon.
It's slow,
but it's slow and it's not as fun as Seismitoad. And then I really liked, you know, using Max Ooze to boost other special attackers, which was a lot of fun. So that was, you know, what I was focused on was Seismitoad at the time. I think since then, there have been teams, I've seen them a couple times, and I know Alexandra, who just put her team report out today, was talking about how she had tested kind of like solo Seismitoad, and people are kind of like sticking it on good stuffs where it gets the opportunity to just like run its own raid mode with Max Geyser, and then all of a sudden you get to be, you know, a strong water ground type, which has always been good typing. But like people have run like Barraskewda by itself on a more good stuffs team, even Ludicolo, so I think that's a good option for rain. That's cool.
Like one of my first rain teams this format was a Barraskewda Ludicolo rain team. Not sure if it was any good, honestly, but I had fun doing it.
It's fun. It's fun to do a lot of damage. Yeah, that's for sure.
Seismitoad is really cool, like, as you go talk about it more and more, because I've been seeing a good bit of Gastrodon on our stream so far, and Gastrodon in general has been, you know, getting up and up. It's able to handle all of these rain type, water types. It's able to resist steel. has stats. Well, Seismitoad, Swift Swim just try to do it all a little bit faster.
Yeah, a little bit differently. Like Swift Swim and
Storm Drain
are very different. But they both do get access to Muddy Water, which I think is an interesting move that's not seeing a ton of play.
I feel like everything gets Muddy Water now.
A lot of things do, but you don't always see it. Like Milotic gets it, I guess. But it seems like it's something that is really interesting in the context of this format specifically because of how much you're playing against stuff like Redirection plus Durant, where, like 2 boosted Muddy Waters might be enough to knock out Max Durant. But with Redirection being so prevalent and Togekiss being such a good Pokemon, being able to use a spread water type attack seems, pretty beneficial.
I've almost started putting Blizzard on my Pokemon instead of Ice Beam.
Blizzard too, yep.
Like, I feel bad for even considering it.
Yeah, it's like blind hypnosis in that sense, yeah.
But, like, it's fun. I can't, there's nothing wrong with using Blizzard, is there?
I mean, it's a stronger max move, right? Or
that's my excuse. I say that for Sheer Cold
That's
too.
how to justify
I say,
it. Yeah.
Sheer Cold's fine. It's a stronger max move. Like, pros, stronger max move. Cons, nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
accuracy, maybe?
Maybe, but let's ignore that detail. One KO moves have been fun, just like as an aside.
Yeah, Horn Drill, Excadrill is a scary thing to face. That's the one that I've seen the most, and I'm sure we'll see like Assault Vest, Sheer Cold Lapras, and stuff like that, especially once it gets its Gigantamax form. But all sorts of things like that are fun. Yeah.
Do you think Lapras has any room on Rain?
On Rain?
Yeah,
I don't
it's
think
a water
so
type.
much on Rain. There was
weakness policy.
Was it on? It wasn't on the very end of the Surf Spam team that was going around, right?
It wasn't. That team was Jellicent, Togekiss, Gastrodon,
and then Pelipper,
and then Pelipper, Ludicolo. Yeah.
Yeah.
The main thing there was Jellicent, Togekiss being able to go Sludge Wave to activate the Togekiss's weakness policy, or going Gastrodon. So you choose which one you want to Dynamax.
That makes sense.
Which is still a little bit linear, but it's just so strong that strong teams kind of don't care. But yeah, we're going to go wrap this up and get ready to go to the next round soon. Thank you, and check out the rental teams.
I think the command's in the chat.